What's up, guys? In this episode of ATP, we're going to be doing a little garage project. We're going to be turning this blank wall into one of those obsessed garage style power washing stations, and maybe at some point even add the vacuum on to the right side. But for now, we're going to try to add a power washer, hose bib, a Cox reel underneath it with a stainless steel shelf above it, and have another hose bib down here below as our bucket fill station. So without further ado, we'll transform this blank wall into an obsessed garage style power washing station. And as mentioned, guys, we're going to create one of those obsessed garage style power washing stations. So watch how we take this pile of parts here and throw them up on that wall that I just showed you before and make one of those obsessed garage style power washing stations. What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be giving you a video of the final product of my obsessed garage power washer setup. Well, at least the DIY version, I should say. I found a couple of videos online showing how to basically make an obsessed garage style setup, but for a little bit more affordability. Don't get me wrong, the things that the obsessed garage guys do is fantastic. Love their work, and you know, honestly, it is a get what you pay for. But for me, I'm a DIYer. I am just simply washing my cars. I don't know that I'll ever get into commercial washing or necessarily having a DIY or DIY detailing business of my own. But that doesn't say that could never happen. But at the very least, I could expand this if that's the case. But a couple things I did not cheap out on. I did go with a Cox reel. These things are fantastic. I can tell you, you watch almost any video, everyone will explain why these are worth the money. They're a bit pricey. I did go with the more affordable version that has the brass elbow. Time will tell if it was worth saving a couple of bucks and going with that. The good thing is, on Obsessed Garage's website, they do have the upgraded stainless steel version. So like I said, if I do get into using this more than I had originally planned, I can always swap that out. It is quite pricey, and it honestly makes up the difference from what I paid for this versus the one that already comes with the stainless steel. But as I mentioned, I can always swap that out if needed in due time. One thing I did buy directly from Obsessed Garage is this Cobra Jet hose. Frankly, I know there are cheaper hoses online. It didn't do me any good to buy the cheaper hose, frankly, because I've lost count now how many hoses just washing my house, washing my cars, and they all either kink or they bust or they're just a nuisance to honestly work with. This, after just using it for the first time yesterday after getting the setup complete, was very pleasant. I'm very pleased with it. Highly recommend. I bought the stainless steel ends that you see here off of Amazon. I actually got a 2-pack, which worked out really great, so I was able to connect it into the reel. And also do the quick connect for the gun. There are ways to save money, but again, Obsessed Garage does a great deal of research for you. So if you really just want the convenience, if you go to their website, everything is right there for you. You don't have to go searching around on Amazon and guessing if stuff will fit. So like I said, really good setup. Now, for me, I know a lot of people do shark bite, which there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do PEX, nothing wrong with that either. I'm in an older house, and so over time, I'm probably going to make a video of as I upgrade the garage, because at some point I'm planning to do paneling in the ceiling, covering up the insulation. You know, back when this house was built, it really wasn't a priority for the garage to be kind of a finished area, which is unfortunate because I think it would look really good. But I haven't made a video of this, but I did this wall with pegboard. I painted it black, added 2 Husky cabinets and a Ryobi cabinet. I repurposed a cabinet I got off of a construction site, and we've rebuilt part of the bench that actually came with this house. And on top of it is a stainless steel plate that actually came off the front of an old refrigerator, which I thought was a nice repurposing of materials. So like I said, at some point that video will come, but without further ado, we'll focus on the power washer setup. So what I did in my case is my studs, as anyone will attest to, are too far apart to mount the hose reel and the shelf. So what I wound up doing is buying, frankly, a really way too nice piece of birch plywood. But I mainly did that because it's already smooth. It has a nice finish to it already. And knowing that I'm eventually going to paint the walls and make it look nice, that saves me a lot of headache of not having to sand plywood. You may be asking yourself, why did I go with plywood? Well, here's a couple options. So the hose reel being as narrow as it is, it won't match the studs. So I could have either tore the drywall out, added a plate in the back, re-drywalled it, did all that, put a reinforcement plate in, or I could have bought the nice stainless steel bracket that spans out a little bit wider so that it would capture the studs and that this reel could mount to. But I really didn't like the look of that. I really do like the look that Obsessed Garage has, where it's simple, clean lines. And so that's what I was kind of going for. So what I did was I mounted a sheet of really thick plywood to the studs, and I made sure to hit the studs all the way down the board so it's nice and sturdy against the wall. Then I proceeded to add an additional spacer plate here to just give it a little bit more meat to grab onto in terms of the 1/2-inch bolts that are in this thing, just to make sure that you can basically stand on this and it's not going to come out of the wall, which I feel pretty confident about the way that we rigged this up. So keep that in mind. I know for a lot of you that may watch some of these videos and you're thinking, you know, I don't have that nice finished garage, or I have an older house such like me, and you're kind of contemplating what's a good way of getting one of these washer setups in your house. So you may also be asking yourself, why did I leave this big void? Well, if you look at Obsessed Garage, they also have a reel that's for vacuum cleaners, and I hopefully will add that to this setup at some point, probably right about in here. And that's my main goal at some point, is to expand this out to have both the power washing and the vacuum reel. That would definitely be ideal. The other thing you may notice is I don't have electrical up here yet. I have the electrical cord hanging down, and I've got the, you can't see behind me, I've got a retractable electrical cord. Actually, I can show it to you. It's up there in the ceiling. Very handy. At the very least, for anybody that's DIY, that is a game changer. Just go ahead and throw that out there. But until I am able to get a outlet added there, so that this is completely stationary and on its own, this is what we're going to do. But like I said, we'll get back to the setup. So did go with the Obsessed Garage hose. Can't recommend it enough. It's been fantastic. I did go with the Karcher power washer. I have an older Ryobi that's kind of going out, so I figured why not go ahead and just upgrade. The good thing with this Karcher is the way the hoses go into it, so straight out the front, straight out the side, it is very easy to put up on a shelf. I will tell you, anybody that is doing this setup, this thing will fly off the shelf if you do not mount it to the wall. So in the back, I actually drilled screws straight through the back of the Karcher, the little tray area, not the actual motor area, but there's just a little tray where the cord and everything sits. I'd put screws through that and directly into the plywood to keep this thing nice and sturdy so it doesn't fly off. I also added some rubber on the stainless steel shelf, because it does cut down on the noise quite a bit, just to keep that as a little bit of a buffer. I did go with a little bit wider of a stainless steel shelf. The Obsessed Garage one is quite narrow. I think it comes in at about 18 inches, whereas this one, I believe, is 24. Picked it up on Amazon. Really good quality. I like that it's got rounded edges. It's not sharp. It's called Halley Sinks and Tubs stainless. I mean, if you look it up on Amazon, there's tons of them, and variety of prices for that matter. But it's fantastic. I purposely went with a wider one because my intent is over time I may want to upgrade from the Karcher, and you guys know as good as I do, not everything is the same width or length. You may get something that's longer, so I wanted to be able to accommodate that. The other cool thing is, if I'm using the power washer, I wanted to be able to like throw my accessories up here and have them sit. I need to scoot this over a little bit so it's not hanging off, but that's kind of my thought, is give me a little bit of area to throw stuff up on. And that's also part of the reason why we did the plumbing the way we did. We mounted the hose bib up a little bit higher, again, to give me some flexibility if I needed to come, you know, a little bit further this way, or if the washer was a tad bit taller. I've got a little bit of movement there to accommodate the other washer. Some of you may also ask, why did we run the plumbing this way? So this line was already to the house that came this way when I bought it. We recently did fit an aqua system outside, and I'll do a video on that at some point as well. It's just been a little bit cold, and I kind of forgot to go back to that. So I will make a video on the aqua system. It's pretty cool for a garden hose. Really do like it. Not sure I would use the power washer with it, and I'll explain that in that video, but that's why we did this. Is this hose goes up into my main water line. It actually goes to my kitchen sink. So while we were in here, we fitted a ball valve instead of the traditional shutoff valves like these, because they are prone to leak and the house is over 30 years old. So kind of peace of mind just putting a more efficient ball valve in. Up there, came down, tapped into it, hooked it into, I believe these are called Street 90s. That gives us enough flare to come around the plywood, like I said, because we added some thickness to the wall. We added a flange that will allow us to bolt it directly to the plywood, and then we screwed in the hose bib. Works out really well. Picked up some stainless steel hose via Home Depot's website. And I also went ahead and splurged. We did the same thing down here, tied in with a Street 90, came down. I could add a strap here, but I honestly like the clean line, more industrial look. It doesn't move too much, so I know some people in the comments may say you need to strap it, and I may do that at some point, but the two screws down here seem to hold it enough, and frankly, I'm not going to be putting a lot of tension on this hose bib, nor that one for that matter, because this is going to all stay stationary. So the tension is primarily going to be on the hose reel itself, which is why I wasn't too concerned. But I also added another stainless steel hose down here from Home Depot, and I added a cheap fire hose spigot at the end to fill up the buckets. It works really well. Pretty pleased with how that came out. This setup is by far the best setup I've ever had, and I'm very pleased with it. I did spring for the jumper hose from Amazon per recommendations from several other YouTubers that have done this. I may change this to the Obsessed Garage one at some point, because I do feel like their hose, especially like this one, is a lot better quality. Not to say that this one isn't good. It feels pretty good. Hopefully it holds up over time. We did run a strap to the wall to kind of hold this from flying around too much, and to keep the tension close so it doesn't stick out from the shelf all that far. Again, if you get the Obsessed Garage one, I believe they have a shorter one, and it would clean this up quite a bit. There's also, like, if you go to like a hydraulic shop or somewhere that makes hoses, you could even get someone to make you a custom line, which I think, what's the guy, Hawaii Detail, I think is the guy's channel. He actually did that, and it cleaned up the setup tremendously, and that may be something I do in the long run. I did, at the end of the jumper hose, add the stainless steel fitting, so as I had to add one here, added one there, and then I bought I think they're like Twinkle Star adapter things on Amazon. Got a whole bunch of those, so I added a quick connect, so that if I do ever want to take this off, for instance, if I need to take this and do a part of my house that this may not reach to, you know, I can always take this off, or worst case scenario, if the washer were to fail, I can then take it off relatively easy. So that's my setup. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I will do a follow-up video to this long term to tell you how is the Karcher holding up, what are my thoughts on this, would I do it again, what are things I would change. That way, if you are considering doing this, you've got a realistic video of, hey, if you're just a regular DIYer and you're wanting to build a setup similar to this at your house, you know, I'll give you the steps along the way. But hopefully this video helps you guys. If you've got any questions, please let me know. I'm trying to answer as many comments as I can. And always thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.